Today I'm sharing from Tamar taback website, Nexus School. And she talks about putting on our crown, awakening to our potential. And this is in line with the themes that I've been discussing recently. First of all, she kind of says this as the embodiment. So when we say the I am, it's an energy that we become. So I am here to create space for the new awareness that takes place. Threading the needle, we weave a new woman out of ourselves. And this is also including men, because men come out of the womb of a woman. So as we know, science nowadays is saying that the water molecules that permeate into a solid give it its properties. So the fluidity gives even the solid, even the masculine, gives them its properties. So of course we are all on the same side when it comes to healing and making space for the feminine wholeness. So we have to bring holiness into the bad days and the higher days. We have to ask God for clarity to see what we need. And redemption, being an inner process, requires transformation, where the information transforms the form. This can occur when the light meets the vessel. So vessel is solid and light is like fluid or a point, but it moves, right? So sometimes in the darkness of the darkest moments, a very subtle inner plane and is where we learn about the incomplete femininity. This is taught as a woman should be this. From schools or mothers, like should be pretty, good at cooking, soft and gentle, versus should be service-oriented, pious, aspirations, light of the truth, in terms of aspiring, like connected to God, self-actualizing, highest self, service-oriented, blessed. And how do we go into this? We have 4 steps. One is there's potential. Potential is rising, call for action, a thirst. 2 is the blockages, the disconnect, the lack of faith and trust. 3 is the deeper story. Now there's learning, the possibility and the options. And 4 is the integration, the skills, behaviors, actions, manifestation, really. The impure fallen expression of something always appears before the pure risen expression of it. And the fruits being like extracted. So first you have the seed, sort of it rots, and then the plant grows out of it, in other words. But growth is really out of the ego. Out of ego, we become egolessness. By repairing ourselves, we repair the world, in other words. We grow out of our ego. It's not just me, it's all of us. So it's not just my burden, it's all of our burden. With rectification of femininity, for example, the moon represents feminine, so the diminishment is how darkness enters the world. So there would be no such thing as night if the moon received all the energy of the light of the sun. It isn't all light, or it would be redemption already. God created the 2 great luminaries on the 4th day, like the Wednesday. So like, for example, like we would think tomorrow. And today, let's say, for example, there was light, you would say, the plants, we would see the effect of the sun, because the plants, the dry land was created on Tuesday, the 3rd day. So the great luminary for ruling the day, which is what I meant was that the sun gives light and dryness to the plants and to the earth. So anyway, this is how it goes. The great luminary for rule in the day, and the small luminary to rule by night, and the stars. Sun is masculinity, moon is femininity. I would say sun is like a solid. Why is it solid? Because constant, all day. Now clouds might cover it, or you might have sunglasses or a sunshade, but the sun's there, even when the clouds are covering. The moon doesn't stay solid, it's fluid. It's every day of the month is different, and every month is different, so it cycles. The feminine diminishes like the moon, which is smaller, because the 2 kings can't share a crown. But when Mashiach comes, the light of the moon shall become like the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall become 7-fold, like the 7 days of creation. The whole world in a melody of healing, resolving and wrapping wounds. The moon getting her lost light back, parallel to healing of the world. It's about emunah, or emunah, faith. We have, align that even in the darkest day of the month, when the moon is the not visible light, even then, that's where faith is. So the darkest days, aligning ourselves to promise that God gave, that it's all for the good. It's all going to be relief and liberation ultimately. The woman in the final generation, before this time of Mashiach, or during this time, it's really like a crossover generation, will be the same souls as the woman who lived in Egypt that got redeemed when the fluid became solid, like the water of the ocean became solid, and what was solid became fluid, like the solid oppression passed away, like washed away, like the oppressors were washed away. The woman did not sit with the chet ha'egel. That's the sin of what we would call the circle or the calf. Egel is also a calf. And they kept their jewelry for donating it to the Mishkan. They didn't give their jewelry to an idol. How could they? Because they already understood a man wants to be like the idol. A man wants to be solid. He wants to be seen as something fixed, something constant, like the sun. The woman didn't need that. So they are kind of protected from the generations of those who sin, from the generations of those who were of those who sinned, from the chet ha'egel, the sin of the golden calf. What that story was, when Moshe was bringing the tablets down after his meeting with God, writing the Torah in short form and in code, the people couldn't wait, and they said, we need something physical, we need something in the flesh, that we, not in flesh, but we need something in the physical that we could give all this this pressurized love that's coming out. I need something to serve. I need it. Like that energy of, I can't wait anymore. I have to devote myself. It's pouring out. They put it all into this object. And that was the sin of the chet ha'egel. And so, for example, Chava, the woman, represents serpent, snake, chavia, but also expression, because she's the mother of all life. Chaya is life, and Chava is expression. She was named after the sinning, but it's a new chapter. So, for example, the chet ha'egel is the sin of the calf, but like it's the also egel means like circle, agal, like a circle. So it's also like a different way to look at it. God addressed the woman first in giving the Torah and gave them the role of teaching the children, which are going to be the men. The men are their children as mothers. God commanded Adam not to eat from the Eitz Hadas, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but he didn't ask Chava. She seduced him and they violated the command. So we say that's why when the Torah was given, he addressed the woman first, because he said the men follow the woman, whether they want to or not. The solid is to hold the water. So the woman on the outside is the vessel for the man, but on the inside, the solid needs. It is shaped by what it's a vessel for. So the man's in the physical world, the woman makes physical space for the man, like the home, like the womb, but in the inside out, the world is upside down. We learn in the physical, it's like we even say it's olam sheker, the false world, but the olam emet, the true world, is that the man is the holder, the beholder, like the holder, in a way that it wants to. From its insides, it needs to have the woman inside. It needs to have the sensitivity and the life on the inside, so that it could, therefore, be attracted to it on the outside, for example, is the way to say it. So, in other words, that fluidity that is the flickering of life through the man, for him being able to work with fluid nature, changing nature, is that deepest place that's kind of empty, that needs fulfillment, that doesn't know who it is, and it's given perhaps on the outside from toxic masculinity. We could see it's given a role by its accomplishments and performance as a solid, as a great man because of such and such constants. But really on the inside, there's that empty space that is always fluid and always changing. So that's what attracts him on the outside to the woman who represents that in the world. So it's the merit of the righteous woman that caused redemption to come. The seventh child of God is a daughter, princess, Malchut. The six are called Zeir Anpin. They're like one conglomerate of Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet. These are attributes. Chesed is loving kindness. Tiferet is the beauty or the grace, the harmony. The Gevura is the judgment or the boundaries. And then there's, of course, the lower triangle, which is not that lower like in terms of higher, lower, but just the next maybe cruder, more not as close to the origin point, but not any less important, but just as much, all of them are inside of each other. They're inter-included, is what the word is called. So that would be Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. So Netzach is victory or perpetuity. Hod is the space or the glory, majesty. And Yesod is the foundation or the secret of creativity and abundance. And then Malchut is the daughter, the seventh one. The Shechina, the feminine presence, it's like the purpose is to find her. She's lost. So the queen is the Shechina, and then The Malchus is still the princess, is still gonna be the queen. She's still the royalty as godly revelation in this world. Shabbat is feminine. Torah is feminine. We haven't realized our worth and our preciousness. And instead of, low self-esteem, guilt, and self-beratement, there's a new level of awareness, waking up and the light coming. Rise and shine, awaken and enlighten, rise and shine. So God is one, but the Yetzer Hara of the feminine, the will to bad, is, in the feminine, is self-doubt, negativity, anything that robs us of our joy. The sun is constantly emitting light, the masculine, the mind. The moon or the heart is holistically receptive, the feminine. So for the moon to be able to hold the light of the sun, it has to be that the sun itself is made of the materials on the inside that the moon could be made out of. They have to match. So originally Adam was the composite being, androgynous, a perfect human. Losing the tail is to have the feminine separate. It's like the behind. Feminine being a helpmate gives the illusion of asymmetry, but ultimately masculine and feminine will be face to face and share a crown. And before I end for today, I want to share that the ill-fitting suit is like using a male barometer to measure our worth. Like, what are we doing constantly? Or what are we fixed in our performance? Or can we stay beautiful in the same way all 30, 31, 29 days of the month? Or can we have a role that is not always changing? Like it's the wrong measure. So rather we are constantly emerging, refining, growing without producing in the masculine way. The true feminine is actually the dynamic shapeshifter, able to meet each unique moment appropriately. What is the galus or the exile is the constriction from the opportunity to grow bigger. So to be a hero exactly where it's hard, when no one sees our beauty and our brilliance. And I'll stop here and we'll continue with this material tomorrow. God willing, I'm looking forward. It's so rich and so beautiful. Again, from Tamar taback from the Nexus School. Thank you. Bye.